With David now secretly providing Marcus with encrypted logs of Aegis's manipulated activity and Serena's direct instructions for its repurposing, Marcus had undeniable proof. He had the Watchman's forensic analysis, Mark's coerced complicity, David's direct testimony and technical evidence, and the brewing discontent within Aether's ranks. He had moved beyond suspicion and into irrefutable fact. Serena's tenure was not just personally vindictive, it was a slow-motion catastrophe for Aether Solutions, systematically dismantling its ethical foundations and long-term viability for immediate ill-gotten gains. The time for exile was over. It was time for reclamation. Marcus sent a coded message to Lena Petrova, leveraging a subtle common ground they once shared regarding Aether's long-term sustainability. He proposed a discreet, anonymous meeting. She arrived, wary but curious. Marcus laid out David's evidence, detailing Aegis's perversion and the perilous reputational damage it would inflict. He explained Mark's blackmail, not as an excuse but as a chilling example of Serena's methods. Lena's face, initially skeptical, grew pale as she saw the meticulous proof of Serena's destructive trajectory. The lucrative future she'd been promised was a mirage, built on a foundation of ethical rot. "Richard Vance will never side with us," Lena whispered, scanning the incriminating documents. "He only cares about profit." "And Serena is destroying the very profit he seeks," Marcus countered, pointing to projections of long-term client alienation and legal exposure once Aegis's true function was revealed. "He was deceived once. He won't allow it again if he understands the full cost." Lena, seeing her own career and Aether's entire future hanging in the balance, agreed. She discreetly approached Richard, planting seeds of doubt, confirming Marcus's claims with her own observations of client backlash and internal unrest. When Marcus presented his evidence to Richard, the financer's face hardened, not with loyalty to Serena, but with pure, calculating fury at being duped into a destructive investment. The next board meeting was called under the pretense of reviewing Serena's aggressive Q4 strategy. Serena, radiating confidence, began her presentation, unaware of the trap being sprung. Marcus, having secured a proxy vote from a sympathetic minor shareholder and armed with a detailed dossier, entered the room unannounced. "I believe there's an alternative perspective to consider," Marcus stated, his voice resonating with an authority Serena had tried to silence. He presented his evidence, David's encrypted logs, the Watchman's forensic analysis, irrefutable proof of Aegis's re-engineering into a tool for predatory market speculation. He detailed Mark's coercion, Lena's curtailed promises, and David's compromised creative freedom. Richard Vance rose, his voice cold and unwavering, condemning Serena's actions as a deliberate perversion of corporate assets and a profound betrayal of fiduciary trust. Lena, her gaze firm, echoed his sentiments, laying bare the unsustainable, damaging nature of Serena's short-term gains. Serena watched them, her face devoid of emotion. She didn't deny the charges. She didn't defend her strategy. When the last accusation was leveled, she finally spoke, her voice eerily calm. "You're right, Marcus. Every accusation. I rerouted Aegis. I leveraged Mark. I strung David and Lena along. But you misunderstand why." She pulled a small, tarnished silver locket from beneath her collar, holding it up. 15 years ago, Marcus, Aether Solutions launched a beta test for an AI-driven medical diagnostic system, Project Chiron. You hailed it as revolutionary. My younger sister, Emily, was a patient in that trial. Chiron promised precise, individualized care. It delivered a misdiagnosis that led to a fatal overdose. You called it an unforeseen anomaly, a tragic, isolated incident. You buried the data. You settled with my family, paid them off, and moved on, creating Aegis, your grand ethical atonement. Her voice began to shake, barely containing a torrent of years-old grief and rage. Aegis isn't your redemption, Marcus, it's your hypocrisy. You build a system for social good after your previous good killed my sister. My entire life, I've watched Aether Solutions profit from the very humanity it claimed to serve. My ambition wasn't for profit, Marcus. It was to tear down your sanctimonious facade, to prove that even your ethical vision, your most cherished creation, could be corrupted into the very profit-driven monster that destroyed my family. I wanted to use your own hands, your own genius, to expose the rot that lies at the heart of Aether and at the heart of you. The room was silent, choked by the weight of her revelation. Marcus stared, his face draining of color, the memory of Emily, a young patient, a statistical outlier, resurfacing with gut-wrenching clarity. He hadn't forgotten her, but he'd rationalized, compartmentalized, allowing the pursuit of his next big vision to overshadow the lingering shadow of the past. Serena wasn't just ambitious, she was a meticulously crafted weapon of vengeance honed by a grief he had long dismissed. The vote was unanimous. Serena was removed, but the victory tasted like ash.